just in terms of the speed and the brazenness of the falsehoods, nothing compares to outgoing President Trump. It's just as a factual matter, especially these days with the craziness he's saying about the election. I mean, just bizarreness from a different planet. But look, it's an important question about ethics, and I didn't have to steel myself for it, because even if I knew, if he didn't like the question, I knew he was going to behave like a rational adult. I mean, look, we all got into this business so that we could cover policy debates and discussions about issues that affect people's lives. We didn't get into this business to fact check or to call out racism or indecency. That's not why we're journalists. It's what we spent a lot of time doing over the last 4 or 5 years, but it's not why we got in the business.
Hey everyone, it is Brian Lewis once again with the Benjamin Dixon Show, bringing you yet another daily news update. So Jake Tapper spoke with John Berman and Allison Camerota on CNN's New Day this morning to discuss his interview with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, the president-elect and the vice president-elect, and how it's different in comparison to him interviewing candidate Donald Trump before he actually became president in 2016. So take a look at this clip. He says something that is I think very interesting, but then at the end, the second clip I'm going to show you, he says something that I kind of disagree with. So take a look at this first clip and I will be right back.
I guess there are a lot of things. Yeah, first of all, as Daniel Dale has said, President-elect Biden says things that aren't true. But in terms of the speed and the brazenness of the falsehoods, nothing compares to outgoing President Trump. It's just as a factual matter, especially these days with the craziness he's saying about the election. I mean, just bizarreness from a different planet. On a different note, I think there are two other factors that made it different. One is, you don't really have to steel yourself for the attacks. It's more just like what we're used to normally on a day in, day out basis as journalists, where you ask questions that might be uncomfortable. For instance, I asked President-elect Biden about, whether or not Hunter or his brothers Jimmy and Frank were going to follow the example set by Kamala Harris's husband, Vice President-elect Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, who resigned from his law firm so as to remove any, even appearance of impropriety. But asking that of President-elect Biden was, I knew that's not his favorite subject. Hunter, especially the way that his son was attacked during the campaign by Trump and his allies. But look, it's an important question about ethics, and I didn't have to steel myself for it, because even if I knew, if he didn't like the question, I knew he was going to behave like a rational adult. Mm-hmm. Maybe the worst that might happen is he might, get his Irish up a little bit, as they say. But I didn't have to prepare for a full blown emotionally abusive session, which I think a lot of people who interview President Trump have to deal with. I mean, it's what we saw in that first debate.
So that was, like I said, that was kind of interesting, because first of all, it's good to see that people in the media openly call Trump's attacks on the credibility of the 2020 election what they are. And so he used the word craziness about the elections, and that was his exact quote, and comparing it to bizarreness from another planet, or from bizarreness from a different planet, because that's what it is, right? So that's what you expect people in the media to do when you have people like Donald Trump, who's trying to grab power and trying to maintain power through illegitimate means, right? But a big thing that we will see from the Biden administration that will be like night and day from the Trump administration is that seriousness. And this is what a lot of people want. I mean, of course, I wanted someone much further to the left, but this is what we ended up with. And we're not going to have the same level of just silly content that Trump provides on a daily basis. We're not going to see the tweet storms at 3 a.m. in the morning. We're just not. There will be this sense of normalcy, and that's both a good thing and a bad thing, right? But he asked President-elect Biden an ethics question about Hunter, and that should be done. That's what you should be able to ask a question like that without having to worry about being attacked, right? And you should expect the president of the United States to behave like a rational adult. So take a look at this last clip, and I will be back to share my thoughts on that one.
But I think what was enjoyable as a journalist was, I mean, look, we all got into this business so that we could cover policy debates and discussions about issues that affect people's lives. We didn't get into this business to fact check or to call out racism or indecency. That's not why we're journalists. It's what we spent a lot of time doing over the last 4 or 5 years, but it's not why we got in the business. And so there was just a certain kind of, pleasure is not the right word for it, but I like covering substance. I like covering policy. I like asking about the COVID relief package. Do you support this compromise or not? And that's honestly, that's something that outgoing President Trump isn't particularly good at in terms of substance. He doesn't really know what he's talking about a lot of times.
No, he doesn't know what he's talking about most of the time. So he didn't have to pull his punch there. Trump very rarely, I mean, he's been the biggest liar to ever sit in the office. It's very rare that Trump actually says something that's actually factually correct. And usually when he does say something that's factually correct, it's by accident, right? It's probably not because he actually knew it. But I disagree with the point that the thing that he said initially. He said we didn't get into this business to fact check or to call out racism. I understand if you didn't specifically become a journalist to call out racism, but fact checking should be considered part of the job. You're just not used to someone like Donald Trump who came into office and completely blew the lid off of truth, right? And created this whole bizarro world of false information. And that will end. That is coming to an end now. But we have to make sure that he doesn't get another 4 years in office, right? So we have to make sure that the Biden administration that's coming in is actually going to do something that prevents another Trump term. Because if Biden and Harris pretty much just continue the status quo, I'm not sure what's going to happen in 2024. But like I said, my name is Brian Lewis, and be on the lookout for my next video.